The year is 1776. On one side are the most powerful military forces in the world, backed by the might of the British Empire. On the other side stands a ragtag band of farmers, shopkeepers, and laborers armed with hunting rifles, commanding an army larger than the Continental Army itself. At their head is George Washington, commander-in-chief of the ragtag rebel force. His soldiers are ill-equipped and poorly fed, often going hungry and wearing shoes that don't match, their weapons mismatched and outdated. Yet Washington holds a strong belief that they are fighting for a noble cause, the creation of a new nation where men can be free. Before he became known as the father of his country, George Washington was a surveyor, a farmer, and a reluctant hero. Now, as his troops shiver through the cold New England winter, it's up to him to keep the dream of freedom alive. He knows that if he fails, his name will be forgotten in history. But if he succeeds, he could become one of the most important figures in the birth of a new nation. With determination in his eyes, Washington leads his troops through one of the harshest winters in memory. His men are suffering from cold, hunger, and exhaustion, but he knows that giving up now would mean giving up on the very idea of American independence. Through it all, he never falters, never complains, always offering words of encouragement and hope to his men. In this time of hardship, General Washington finds solace in the love of his life, Martha Dandridge, Custis, a wealthy widow he married in 1759, though she is much younger than him. Martha is intelligent and strong-willed, offering him both companionship and support during these trying times. As Washington struggles to lead his ragtag army to victory, Martha manages his estate and provides supplies for the troops whenever possible. She becomes a symbol of hope and resilience for the Continental Army, representing the strength and support of the people back home. Together, George and Martha Washington faced the hardships of the Revolutionary War, holding fast to their ideals of liberty and freedom. They endured years of uncertainty and struggle, never losing hope that the United States would eventually prevail. And prevail they did, but with heavy cost. The war took its toll on everyone involved, and George knew that it was time to move forward. He led his troops to victory at Yorktown, effectively ending the war and securing independence. When news of the victory reached Martha, she couldn't contain her joy. She immediately began making plans to celebrate with her husband, eager to show her support for him and the country they were helping to build. But despite the triumph, Washington felt a deep sense of loss for the countless lives that were lost during the conflict. He understood the sacrifices made by so many and carried the weight of their sacrifice heavily on his shoulders. As the war came to a close, Washington found himself at a crossroads. Could have easily chosen to use the power he had gained during the conflict to declare himself king and rule over the newly formed nation. After all, his position as commander-in-chief and war hero made him a natural choice for the crown. However, Washington was a man of the people, and he knew that true power lay not in his own hands, but in the hands of the citizens he had fought to liberate. He chose to step down and allow the nation to move forward without him. At the Constitutional Convention in 1787, Washington's presence loomed large as delegates gathered to create a new government for the nation. Although he wasn't present at the convention, his decision to leave public life had a profound impact on the discussions and decisions made by the delegates. James Madison, one of the key figures at the convention, acknowledged the significance of Washington's example, stating that if anyone had a right to become a monarch, it was him. However, Washington's choice to relinquish power and retire to private life served as a guiding light for those seeking to establish a new form of government based on the principles of democracy and republicanism. As the convention progressed, delegates grappled with issues of representation, taxation, and power, drawing upon the lessons learned from the Articles of Confederation and seeking to avoid the pitfalls of monarchy. Throughout the debates, Washington's legacy as a leader who had resisted the allure of power and self-interest while leading the nation to independence was a constant reminder of the principles upon which the new government should be founded. Ultimately, the delegates succeeded in creating a new constitution that established a strong central government while protecting individual liberties. A task made possible in part by Washington's own example of selfless leadership and commitment to the common good. In 1789, George Washington stood before a crowd of people in New York City. The air was filled with excitement and anticipation as the first president of the United States was about to take the oath of office. As he placed his hand on the Bible and repeated the words of the oath, a hush fell over the crowd. In that moment, they knew they were witnessing a historic event. But what few people realized was that this was not the first time Washington had taken an oath. Earlier in his career, he had sworn to uphold the values and principles of the United States. Now, as he stood before them as the first president, he was reaffirming that commitment. For Washington, being president was not about power or glory, but about duty and service to his country. He knew that the success of the new nation rested on his shoulders, and he was ready to meet that challenge head-on. Throughout his presidency, Washington set precedents that would shape the office for generations to come. He established the cabinet system, which created a corps of advisors to assist him in governing the nation. He also set the tone for presidential leadership by emphasizing the importance of neutrality in foreign policy and avoiding entangling alliances. Additionally, Washington warned against the dangers of political parties, recognizing that they could divide the nation and undermine national unity. These precedents and policies would help guide the nation through the challenges of the early republic and ensure its stability and growth. One of Washington's most significant accomplishments during his presidency was the passage of the Judiciary Act of 1789, which created the federal court system. This act established a clear structure for the judicial branch of the government and ensured that the courts would be independent from the other branches of government. By signing this act into law, Washington recognized the importance of an independent judiciary in protecting the rights of the people and upholding the rule of law. Another major accomplishment during Washington's presidency was the establishment of the Bank of the United States. This institution played a crucial role in stabilizing the nation's finances and promoting economic growth. By signing the charter for the bank, Washington demonstrated his commitment to fiscal responsibility and his willingness to embrace innovative solutions to address the challenges facing the young nation. Perhaps Washington's greatest accomplishment during his presidency was the example he set for future leaders. His commitment to public service, his integrity, and his unwavering dedication to the principles of the Constitution inspired generations of Americans to follow in his footsteps. By stepping down after 2 terms in office, Washington set a precedent for peaceful transitions of power that has become a hallmark of American democracy. As Washington's second term came to an end, he knew it was time to pass the torch to a new generation of leaders. In 1796, he announced his decision not to seek a 3rd term, setting a precedent for peaceful transitions of power that has become a cornerstone of American democracy. On March 4, 1801, Thomas Jefferson, Washington's vice president, was sworn in as the 3rd president of the United States. The transition was seamless and marked a significant moment in the history of the young republic. Jefferson, who had previously served as minister to France and governor of Virginia, had been chosen by the Electoral College to succeed Washington. In his inaugural address, Jefferson emphasized the importance of unity and reconciliation, calling for the nation to set aside past divisions and work together to build a better future. He also affirmed the principles of limited government and individual liberty, which had been championed by the Founding Fathers. As Jefferson took the oath of office, Washington and his wife Martha stood among the crowd of well-wishers and dignitaries. The transfer of power was a testament to the strength and stability of the American system of government and a source of pride for all Americans. After leaving office, George Washington returned to his beloved Mount Vernon estate in Virginia, where he enjoyed a quiet life of farming and family. However, he continued to take an active interest in public affairs and offered his counsel to his successors. He was particularly concerned about the growing sectional tensions over issues such as slavery and states' rights, and he urged the nation's leaders to find ways to preserve the Union. In 1799, Washington was stricken with a severe illness that would eventually claim his life. As his health declined, he summoned his family and close friends to his bedside and delivered a final address. In it, he expressed his love for his country and his confidence in the American people. He also warned against the dangers of political division and partisanship, urging the nation to remain united. On December 14, 1799, George Washington died at Mount Vernon. His death was a national tragedy, and he was mourned by people from all walks of life. His body was embalmed and placed in a custom-built tomb at Mount Vernon, where it remains today. George Washington's legacy as the father of his country is a testament to his enduring contributions to the founding and development of the United States. His leadership during the American Revolution, his unwavering commitment to public service, and his steadfast belief in the principles of democracy and republicanism continue to inspire Americans today. From his days as a surveyor in colonial Virginia to his final moments at Mount Vernon, Washington's life and legacy have shaped the course of American history and secured the blessings of liberty for generations to come. So next time you see the majestic Mount Vernon estate or stand in awe of the Washington Monument, take a moment to remember the extraordinary life and legacy of the man who was revered as the father of his country. George Washington, the leader who led a nation to independence, the statesman who shaped the early republic, and the embodiment of integrity, humility, and service. Thank you for watching. To watch more videos like this one, please subscribe.